Hi, how's it going everyone? So today we are ranking all the sniper animals from Super Lopez standard pack. I know that you've seen a lot of different tier lists before, and I mean there's no point for me to do the same tier list over and over again, right? So I'm doing a sniper only tier list. And I've played a lot of sniper builds and I'm much more familiar with it. And I've done a lot of like 10-win gameplays with all these different unique sniper builds. So you can check it out in the description below, and in the comments below I will include the playlist of all the sniper builds. So let's start, shall we? So the first one, I think we should try and rank it like accordingly, right? So the first one is Skunks, tier S. Let me look at my notes, tier S. So the reason I think Skunks is in tier S is because this, I think, is the strongest sniper pet ever in the entire standard pack. Its ability to reduce units from like full health to 33% by 33%, and by 66%, and by 99%. This is such a huge equalizer, It's like when you're behind in games, when your units are not buffed enough, you run a skunk. And then it kind of equalizes the playing field, isn't it? It reduces your opponent's health by 33%. And then, if your opponent is stronger, they kind of like balances out. And if your opponent is weaker and you're stronger, you can still run a skunk. And then it kind of dampens them down by reducing their health. So this allows your unit to kind of just outtrade them easy. And I mean, at the end of the day, this is a percentage. I don't think any of these sniper builds, like sniper pets here, runs a percentage, right? They are just dealing a set amount of damage. So anything that's percentage in a numbers game, and of course Super Lopez is a numbers game, it's gonna do well because it scales. It scales to whatever number. If it's 100, 99% is always the same. And it scales. I mean, if it's dealing 8 damage, then I mean your units can scale, but your damage wouldn't scale, right? Yeah, so that is why it makes it so powerful. It's a great equalizer. And if you just pick a 50-50 skunk, I mean, the best way to look at this in a hypothetical scenario, right, is that, I mean, nobody will buff a skunk to carry your entire team, but if you buff a 50-50 skunk versus a 50-50 other kind of unit, most likely it's gonna win because you can just easily reduce your opponent to 1%, right? If it's a level 3 skunk. And even with melon armor, can't save yourself, man. If you're getting hit by a 50-50 skunk, and you can just reduce you to 1 health. So yeah, I mean, this itself is just way too powerful of a unit to deny, I mean, if you want a solid 10-win build, you should always just run this whenever you see it. So that's for tier S. And I mean, if you disagree, it's fine. You can share in the comments below. But this is just based on what I've experienced so far. The second one, Snakes. The second one is Snakes. I think Snakes belongs to tier A or tier S. But personally, I think tier S is a bit contentious. I mean, if you put a tier S, you would kind of see it as same as Skunks, right? But no, it's not as strong as Skunks. But I think it belongs in a higher tier, which is tier A. I think I think it's one of the strongest snipers in the game. It's absolutely pivotal. It can help you win games in the late game, because I think what you realize is that once you reach like turn 10 onwards, people are running melon armor instead of guarding armor, which is quite interesting. I mean, after all, melon armor blocks 20 damage, right? And when you're running snakes, just one snake, level 1 is enough. You can use that snake and put it behind your strongest unit, and you can just snipe away your opponent's melon armor. This is random, the sniping, but you have a chance. It's 1 out of 5 chance, right? So you can just easily snipe away at all this melon armor. And this is so pivotal because, I mean, even though melon armor is like blocks so much damage, like its only weakness is that once you're vulnerable to snipes. So once you get sniped, the melon armor just disappears. As compared to the guarding armor doesn't disappear, right? So this is the trade-off that you get when you get melon armor in the late game. So having a snake can potentially win you a lot of games because you get to snipe away at your opponent's melon armor. So that's the reason why I run snakes. And you can just easily snipe away all this armor and can just outtrade them. So that is why I put it at tier A. Dolphins, it's tier B. I think personally, I feel that people are not running enough Dolphin. Perhaps Dolphin comes in too late during the game, but I feel that I mean, if Dolphins are offered earlier, maybe I'll get it. But overall, this is tier B because in a world, in a meta where everybody is running Scorpions and 1-up Scorpions, Dolphin is a premium, man. Being able to just plug this in and you just snipe away at all these Scorpions. And this comes before Scorpions if I'm not wrong. So I mean generally against Scorpions, how do you defend against them? Scorpions comes in, I think, around the time of Melon Armor, right? So it's either you run a Melon Armor, or usually, you know, Melon Armor can be hard to come by, so you put your weakest unit in front to soak up the Scorpion's attack, or you run a Dolphin. And Dolphin is a good solution here. Dolphin can just snipe away very easily, right? And that's the main reason why I like to run this. You know? Because it's kind of weird, right? If you use small creatures to soak up the Scorpion's damage, sometimes you might have a monkey. And your monkey is the weakest one, but it's kind of awkward, isn't it? It requires, I mean, it's buffing the strongest unit in front. I mean, why would you? I mean, sometimes you're really way too deep into your strongest unit, which is like other pets, and you don't want to be buffing your monkey, right? So it's kind of awkward. And Dolphin kind of just fits right in and can carry you for a few rounds, can protect you against Scorpions for a few rounds, so that's the good part about it. But I never truly invested in the Dolphin all the way, and I think maybe there's some sort of issue there, because I mean, at one point it kind of loses its effect, right? If in a meta where there's a lot of Swarm build and Scorpion, that would be best, but I haven't seen people running Swarm build that much, and this has like limited usage. It can pop between A, B, C, A, B, C. So I'll just put this at B for now. So Leopard. I think Leopard, I mean, you see all these flashy videos of people running Leopard Tiger. I know, I mean, it's powerful, but to be honest, comes in way too late in the game. Way too late. Stun 10, it comes out. It's turn 10, right? And then you have to buff it again. So it requires that you have an existing buffing engine in place to buff this to 50-50 in order for this to be supported by a Tiger that is at level 3, and your Leopard has to be at level 2 or level 3 and above for it to yield some sort of benefits, right? But if you are able to get them to 50-50 level 3, you just instant kill your opponent's entire board. But in most situations, you don't get to have that kind of luxury or time to get them to that level. So this is just like a kind of a fun meme build, to be honest. I mean, you can use it to snipe away at Melon Armor, but it deals 1 at random at the start of the game. As compared to Snake, a Snake hits more than 1 time for sure if your unit is strong enough in front. So, I mean, when you compare these two, Snakes are much more consistent, right? At least there's a chance that you can hit for twice, but this is guaranteed 1 only. You can't, there's no random second chance to hit 1 more time. No, it doesn't, but Snakes have it. So Leopard is kind of a meme build for me. And the next one is Blowfish. I think Blowfish is kind of contentious. I feel that Blowfish is definitely relevant, but it's not very good in the late game. So perhaps you can still win with Blowfish if you are running like a very solid flawless build. You scale at the perfect moment all the way from turn 1 to turn 10 without any failures or without any losses. I think Blowfish can do pretty well. I think the fact that you can just snipe away your opponent, you can take damage, you can deal damage at the same time. It's pretty powerful in between the middle game and the early game when it first pops out. But it will never be the late game solution, I feel. It's very hard for you to run this. And a lot of people, you know, you see all these flashy gameplays of hedgehogs, Blowfish. It's flashy, but it's not a strong build. I mean, it's flashy, that's why people are posting it. Otherwise, you know, I mean, the normal standard builds that get 10 wins, nobody wants to watch it. A Bison Kangaroo, who wants to watch it? Bison Snakes, so lame. I have a Bison Snake video, but nobody watches it. That's why, you know, there's this sense of Blowfish is just overvalued. Hence, I put it at C. Barely deals any damage. You really need a lot of support, and support comes from Blowfish. Unless your Blowfish is No, unless your hedgehog is giant and very powerful. It's very hard though. I mean, dealing like 6 to 12 damage one at a time. It's pretty challenging. I'm not quite sure whether hedgehog classifies under a sniper, but I suppose I didn't put it in my notes, but I think hedgehog can sit about C as well. Something of a meme build range. And then we have Crocodile. So Crocodile is a very contentious unit. It can be useful. It can be between B and C. So in a meta that has a lot of swarm builds, it is definitely in B, because you can just snipe away at your opponents like turkey, flies, tigers, and this is also very effective against honey badger builds. When people are running honey badger in the middle of the game, just snipe away at them and they destroy their own, they themselves implode and destroy their own units. Yeah, I think at the start when turkey, fly, dodo was kind of like a thing, turkey, swarm builds, Crocodile was definitely very powerful. But I don't face any more turkey, fly. I think with the nerf to the rooster, right, it becomes like so much weaker, because they really rely a lot on rooster, turkey. These two things are the synergistic ones. So Crocodile is definitely at C. I mean, there's a lot of C tier units, so it hops within C and B for sure. Then we have Rhinos. Rhino, I mean, it's cool. Rhino with chili, I mean, it's fun, and but it's still within the meme range. So we're gonna classify everything as like just performance and competitiveness. But if you want to talk about fun, I think I will just put all this at A. Everything is fun here, to be honest. Snipers are pure fun. So for Rhinos, it has very limited usage. It's very powerful, like I said again, with for the Crocs. It's very powerful in the meta field with a lot of swarm units. And the thing is, you definitely need some support. You need a tiger to support it, or you need a snake to support it. Because you need to ensure that you one hit kill a unit, and at the same time you need to do high enough damage to kill that unit to do the chain sniping. If it doesn't chain snipe, it's kind of like a losing end, right? It's not powerful at all. It loses its true power. And Rhino itself, I mean, you need to scale it up, and I feel like it comes in way too late in the game, because I mean, it comes in at a time when it's like tier 5, right? So by tier 5, your opponent's swarm pets, it's kind of strong though. They have pretty high stats. And then you need to expect this to kill them and come out surviving. And then at the same time, level 1 Rhino, how much damage is it dealing? You can't even chain snipe. Perhaps you can just deal some measly amount of damage to like reduce the health of the sheep that just came up, you know, that was just spawned. But otherwise, it's just kind of weak. It's just fun and weak at the same time. Doesn't do much in the late game. I mean, the late game, I haven't seen a lot of people running swarm builds. So this 50-50 against a 50-50 Skunks, who will win? It's the Skunks for sure. The Skunk just reduces this to 1% health, and it just out-treats it immediately, with both having melon armor, right? And it's not really a good comparison, but if you think about it, its effect is not very powerful in the late game. And then we have Mosquito. Mosquito is pretty interesting. I would put this Mosquito at tier C as well. There's so many tier Cs. Feels like I'm not putting any effort. I just came in and anyhow bomb, but I definitely planned it out. I have notes written. So Mosquito is either at tier A or tier C. So Mosquito is at tier A in the early game. So in the early game, it's tier A because it's able to snipe 1 damage. And 1 damage has become more and more relevant with the nerf, or kind of a buff to pigs. Pigs are 3-1 now. So you can just snipe away at them. And then you have things like ants. A lot of people like to run ants. So Mosquito can just snipe away at ants. And in the early game, having as much units alive is very important. And when you snipe away at the end, you just remove one unit, and then your strongest unit can just, I mean, you have 3 versus 2, you know. 3 units versus 3 units. You snipe away 1, you have 3 versus 2. You're gonna win for sure unless your opponent has higher stats. But most often time in the early game, we are all starting out on equal footing. So you're gonna win for sure if I'm not wrong. And ends the buff, to be honest, not that great. +2/+1 is not a lot. And never run multiple ends, because if you run multiple ends, the end might buff the other end, and ends are very weak to begin with, low health. The end is not gonna survive. It's just gonna die to another basic fish, basic mosquito. I mean, it's terrible. That's the reason why I really like mosquito. Mosquito now, I mean, it's much more useful here. You can snipe away at things, but as you slowly move past like the early game to mid game to late game, it becomes a C tier or even D tier unit. You should never run this past late game for sure, because it deals 1 damage. And in the middle game, it sucks because people are running camels, peacocks, blowfish. You're just activating them. You're just helping them. You're just a hedgehog for them. But I mean, in the late game, kind of contentious. Because people might be moving away from blowfish by then, right? People are not going to run camel all the way to the end. Never seen that happen. I mean, they most likely lost the game, that's why. So you're seeing more stronger units, and mosquito might do somewhat better, perhaps at B. So I think A is early game, middle game is C when dealing with blowfishes and camel, and late game maybe B because it can throw 3 1 damage snipes, right? So it can potentially snipe away at melon armor, and it's actually pretty effective if you think about it. 5 units, 3 out of 5. I mean, that's a lot, man. That's more than half. And you know, all their melon armor gone just like this. So this is pretty contentious. It moves here and there like a mosquito. So am I missing anything else? I don't think so, right? Let me see. I don't think so. So this is it. I suppose Badger can be a sniper. I mean, it explodes and it snipes, right? For me, I mean, Badger, I don't think it's a real sniper. But if I want to put it, I'll put it at S. I think it's a very underrated carry unit. Probably one of the strongest one. I will put it similar to Scorpions or even stronger. I think Scorpions, people are playing around Scorpions, but people are not playing around a carry Badger, a very powerful Badger. So when people are stacking their units from strongest to weakest, right? So the strongest at the front, second strongest at the back, and they fight your Badger. Your Badger kills their strongest one, your Badger dies, your Badger explodes, hits their second strongest. But they never expect that you have a carry Badger, a Badger that is carrying your entire team. So on your end, you kind of like do some manipulation, right? You don't put your second strongest behind the Badger, you put a lousy unit. So this leaves your second strongest unit alive. So you can just tear down your opponent because your opponent has lost their strongest and second strongest. So that's my logic. So I think it's at tier S for sure. Tier S carry. You can use this to carry in the early game with Honey Badger. Late game you can transition to a Nuclear Badger build. So that's the end of this tier list. Took pretty long. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this and found it useful. And if you are interested, you can find all the playlists of the sniper builds in the description below and the comments below.